What's up guys, I'm the True Gooner, here to review what happened in the first weekend of the Premier League season. So let's get to it. First game, Manchester United versus Tottenham. Apparently a very boring game. Eriksen had a shot in around the start of the game. Tottenham started the brightest. Lobbed Romero on his debut, but lobbed the goal in the process, hit the top of the net, and great chance. Obviously Man United had some new starters, some debuts in Romero, Memphis, Schneiderlin, and I feel like I'm missing one. Darmian as well, and Schweinsteiger came off the bench for them. The game ended up being decisive on a own goal by Kyle Walker, when Memphis crossed it in for Wayne Rooney. Walker managed to run back, because we all know how fast he is. Obviously overtouched the ball and went past Vorm, and that ended up being 1-0. Romero made a great save around near the end of the game to keep Spurs away from scoring. Smalling was man of the match, which was quite surprising for some United fans and some neutrals, because he's not really best known at Man United for playing well. But he did save Man United a few times defensively, and United with a solid 1-0 win against Tottenham in their first game of the new season. Next game, Bournemouth versus Villa, which I predicted to be 1-1. Villa ended up winning 1-0. Bournemouth, I don't think, should be too fussed about this. They played well, fans were up for it, players were up for it. Villa managed to scrape a goal. Guzan made a great save against Bournemouth. It was Gestrud or Gustride, I don't know how to pronounce it, who scored in his debut for Aston Villa. So that's promising for them. So yeah, that was a good goal. And Villa with a crucial 3 points at the start of the season. Bournemouth, I believe, it won't be long until they probably get their first win. So I wouldn't be worried about that. But almost a wake-up call to say this is the Premier League and you've got to take chances. And that's what they didn't do in this game. So yeah, that was that game. Everton versus Watford. Watford surprised me in this game. I predicted Everton to win 3-1. They ended up getting a point out of it with a 2-2 draw. Their debutant scoring the first goal, I believe, to make it 1-0. And then Ross Barkley equalised with an absolute corker of a goal, 25-30 yards out. Obviously, Ross Barkley is a player where 2 years ago was his breakout season. Last year, he was just down with injuries and other problems and all the rest of it. Hope he does well for Everton and England's sake this year, because I think he's a top young talent. And England probably need him, and so do Everton. Especially last year with the Europa League, but they didn't get it. Watford made it 2-1. I can't remember who scored, but they did make it 2-1, and then Everton equalised in the dying minutes. I don't think this is good enough for Everton. Martinez, he probably knows he's got to do better, and he's got no excuse of the Europa League this year. So I think they've definitely got to do better than this. Otherwise, Martinez could be one of the first sackings of the season. So yeah, in that game it ended 2-2, Everton-Watford. In the next game, I got the result wrong, but I got the team who won right. I predicted 1-0 to Leicester, but it ended up being 4-2 instead of 1-0. Defensive mistakes all over the shop for Leicester. For Sunderland, that's all I can say. They were 3-0 down at half-time. They got a goal back from Jermaine Defoe. Leicester scored again to make it 4-1, and Sunderland made it 4-2. Great start from Ranieri, and Leicester pretty much finishing how they started last year. In terms of their form. And Sunderland just need to kick up the arse, I think, and maybe even that won't probably help them. I'm not really convinced by them whatsoever. As I said, I think both of these teams will still go down, but we're just going to have to wait and see. So yeah, great win by Leicester, 4-2. In the next game, this one was a bit controversial in the end. Norwich versus Crystal Palace. The game ended 3-1. I predicted it to be 2-0. No, 3-1 to Palace, I should say, and I predicted it to be 2-0 to Palace. And what ended up happening was Palace took the lead, Norwich equalised, Palace took the lead again. Norwich had a goal disallowed for apparently a high kick, even though it was like an overhead kick or a scissor kick, as some people call it. I don't know whether that was the real reason. It probably was a push and shoved in the box because it was from a corner. Kind of pathetic, I know. And if that was the reason, I think the ref probably should be sacked on the spot. But yeah, I'll probably read into that and probably let you guys know in a future video whether I was right or wrong about that. But what ended up happening in the end, of course, Palace just killed the game off and won 3-1 with a great goal by Cabaye. So moving on swiftly to the next game between Chelsea and Swansea. The champions starting off at Stamford Bridge. I predicted this to be 2-0. It ended up being 2-2. Swansea surprising all of us. He had the best shots, most shots and most on target. Played better than Chelsea, but Chelsea doing what champions do and managed to get anything away from the game. Chelsea took the lead with an unlikely goal from Oscar. Free kick that was more like a cross than a shot. Got no defenders, no attackers. Caught Fabianski completely off guard and ended up in the top right corner. That was pretty much it. And then Swansea, 20 minutes later or so, Montero scored a great goal, running around the whole defence of Chelsea. And then they laid it off to Gomez, who had a shot saved. Montero had a shot saved. And then, once again, Montero had another shot. Courtois couldn't get to this one. And they ended up equalising. Only for 90 seconds later, Rillian ran through, crossed it in, another deflection, caught out Fabianski and went in the back of the net. Another one where 9 times out of 10 that probably wouldn't have ended up in the back of the net, but it did. So Chelsea, surprisingly for them, and probably Mourinho, luckily probably thinking, they were in the league going into the break. Now, I thought Chelsea would do well and better in the second half. Swansea ended up doing their game plan and it still worked against Chelsea. They managed to get a penalty 10 minutes into the second half. Controversial circumstances in the end, but it was a penalty. And Courtois was last man. Gomez was through on goal. And Courtois ended up, got his leg tangled with his leg. Ended up kicking Gomez's leg when he went for the ball. And that was a penalty. He's now out for 3 games, missing the Manchester City game at the Etihad at the weekend. So that should be a good game. And then very interesting now. Begovic came on for his debut because of this. Couldn't save the penalty. Gomez, the only good thing he did was score a penalty. He's bloody awful, apart from scoring 2 goals away and at home. Against Arsenal last year, I have not seen him do anything, especially the start of this season. Hasn't done much at all in that game against Chelsea, apart from score the penalty. The vital penalty. Swansea had chances to win the game. Begovic with some great saves. And if anything, any team looking like to win this game was probably Swansea. But Chelsea hang on like they should do. And as I said in the last video, the Arsenal review, that point could mean anything for Chelsea. That point, we don't know, could mean winning the title by a point. We don't know yet. So, maybe I can see it more of a good point than a bad point. Going into this thing about this physio, I don't even want to go into it about this Chelsea physio. I think it's a bit pathetic by Mourinho. Obviously, she was just trying to treat, only his best player in Eden Hazard. Obviously, classes it of wasting time, but I'm not even going to go into it because I just think it's a stupid matter in my opinion. And Mourinho's just thrown his toys out the pram yet again. But yeah, moving on. Arsenal West Ham. I'm not going to cover this game, not because I'm annoyed about it, because I'm not now, because looking back into it. The one thing I will say, and I didn't say it in the last game, I think I did, Reece Oxford looks like a top talent for West Ham, and I've watched out for him because he looks like he might have a breakout year. He's the same year as me, probably just on his GCSEs, and he had Mesut Ozil, one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, in his back pocket. And I'm not even afraid to say it was true. But if you want to see a more in-depth review of the Arsenal West Ham game, look on my last video, and it will be there. So enjoy that. And yeah, that was that. Arsenal game, I did predict 3-0 and we lost 2-0. But if you want to see a more further review of that game, look at my last video and it will be there. So yeah, enjoy. Next game, I actually got a prediction right for once. Newcastle 2, Southampton 2, which I obviously predicted that same scoreline. Southampton took the lead. I didn't see the highlights of the Sunday games apart from the Arsenal West Ham game. I did see the Monday Night Football, but not the Stoke Liverpool and Newcastle Southampton, so I don't know what the goals were like. But Southampton took the lead. Newcastle ended up equalising and then took the lead themselves. And then Southampton ended up equalising to make it 2-2. It's great to see Newcastle going up to a decent start. Maybe they should have won, I don't know, but it sounds like they probably should have done. But yeah, Southampton maybe disappointed to just get a point, but Newcastle looked good. I think Wijnaldum did score on his debut for them, which is great signs for them. And it's great to see fight back in Newcastle. Great, the fight and the determination from a team like Newcastle come back, which is good. good start of the season for Steve McLaren and Newcastle, so that game did end 2-2. Next game, which I predicted at the Britannia Stadium, 6-1. No, I predicted it as 1-1 for Liverpool, which is probably the biggest shock of this week so far. I'm only joking, Liverpool fans, don't hate on me. But this game again was like the United Spurs game. Apparently very, very boring to watch. Again, this was another game I didn't get to see because I was busy. But this game ended up being 1-0 with an absolute screamer with 10 minutes to go from Felipe Coutinho. It seems like this guy doesn't score, and he never scores ordinary goals. When he scores, you know about it because it's absolutely amazing. About 25-30 yards out. Great goal for Felipe Coutinho and great start for Brendan Rodgers with a 1-0 win at the Britannia Stadium, which is not a very easy thing to do, go to Stoke and win, especially after in their last game losing 6-1. They obviously wanted their revenge and they got it in a solid 1-0 win against Stoke. So, yeah, and obviously now they've signed Shaqiri, which is something for another video because I still can't believe Stoke have signed Shaqiri. Maybe he's just overhyped now. I mean, he's gone from Bayern to Inter, now Stoke. I mean, that'd be the dream career if it was the other way around. But it's almost like his career's just gone downhill and downhill and downhill. So maybe he's just overrated. I don't know. But going into the Monday Night Football, West Ham versus Manchester City. I predicted this game to be 3-1. Man City won it 3-0. And with 2 cracking goals from Yaya Toure, albeit the first one being a deflection. Maybe he might well be proving me and a lot of people wrong, saying he may not be past it because he scored some cracking goals and company with an absolute bullet of a header. Man City looked strong, albeit it was only against West Brom, but they looked strong and maybe momentum going into their game against the champions next week, Chelsea. So let's look forward to that. And tomorrow I'll be doing another prediction video, or the day after, of week 2 of the Premier. Week 2's Premier League fixtures, so look forward to that. I've been the True Gooner. Thanks for watching. Like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.